Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday. So I want to begin by saying never underestimate where you can find inspiration. Okay. So I'm not a big fan of Facebook. Has always been kind of a way of staying connected to family and all of that. Um, but it's not usually a great source of much worthwhile stuff. However, imagine my surprise when on Facebook I get a quote through Scott Hahn, who is also on Facebook, I guess. And it's a quote of Saint Alphonsus Liguori, whose feast day was last Monday. And so I was kind of struck by the quote itself, and really inspired by it because I had never heard the quote or knew much about Saint Alphonsus, other than to know that he's a doctor of the church and obviously a very holy man. But when I saw the quote, I paid attention. I stood up and took a look at it, and I've been pondering it. In fact, I put it in my bulletin. Next week, bulletin's full this week. Anyway, this is the quote. Acquire the habit of speaking to God as if you're alone with Him, familiarly and with confidence and with love, as to the dearest and most loving of friends. I was struck by that. Talk to God, acquire the habit of speaking to Him as if you're alone. Well, my friends, we've talked about this. I know I have in the past, that God hears everything that we say, everything that we think, everything going on in our head, in our life, in our mind. God is involved, whether we want Him to be or not, and He is. And why not talk to Him? Why not reach out to Him and allow God to be a part of those inner conversations and be a part, and maybe even bigger than that, a confidant of ours, so that we can bring to Him everything that is going on in our life, in our minds, in our hearts, knowing that God wants to be a part of that. That is what prayer is. Now, I'll tell you, one of the challenges with prayer is it tends to be my wish list instead of a conversation. Very often it can become very easy to become seeking God like a provider only. And that is kind of what God does as well. But I think as we mature, we need a relationship with God that looks beyond what He gives us, and that we always thank Him and know that even when we don't see it, everything that's good in our life, everything that we have, has come from Him. So in this, I'm thinking about the idea of Saint Alphonsus. Make it a habit, acquire a habit of speaking to God. And in doing that, what do we have to do? Make time for it, right? That's number one. But like I started with, God hears everything. If I'm sitting in my car, if I'm at work, if I'm at the grocery store, if I'm with friends, anywhere that I am, God is with me and God hears me. So these conversations can be as formal as a sit-down prayer time with God, which is always an important thing to try to build into our lives. But the other part of it is God is with us always. So make that conversation a daily ritual and a daily part of what our life is. So Beyond finding that quote, on the heels of it, same person, I can't even say his name, Dr. Scott Hahn, posted a second quote from the same saint, Alphonsus Liguori. This is what he says. Our God delights in stooping down to converse with us, and he rejoices when we make known to him our most trivial, everyday affairs. How wonderful, how beautiful. Nothing is too small for our God if it's related to us, who he loves. Thanks be to God for the fact that he would care enough about you and me that he wants to be a part of my life. How awesome is that? So add to this one more thing, that every day somewhere in the world is a saint feast day. We don't all have the same saint calendar or feast day calendar, largely because there are so many saints, and very often saints become particular to an area of the world. Now, people like Alphonsus Liguori, a doctor of the church, very much the entire church looks at and pays attention to and celebrates. But in all of it, here in the lives of the saints is word and sustenance, a way to sustain ourselves. And so there are different sources that would allow you to know the saints of the day. One of the best is called Butlers. Mark and I are a part of a monastery in Southern California, and one of the things that the monks do every day, usually after dinner, everybody shares a meal, and after dinner, the group of monks and visitors, anybody who's visiting the monastery, stops, and one of the monks reads from Butler's Lives of the Saints. And what the entire community does is they listen to the life of some of our great saints connected to that particular day. And they do it every day. At the end of reading those stories and doing it as a group, as a community, here is what they pray. Herein lies the lives of the saints, for word and sustenance, thanks be to God. So today, for Saint Alphonsus Liguori, and for his words of wisdom, and for all of our saints, may all of us be blessed by the wisdom of the saints and inspired to become a saint ourselves. Thanks be to God. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. Aiming for Mass on the weekend. It's cooler. Thanks be to God that has cooled down. Anyway, see you at Mass on the weekend, and think of the saints.